Footprints appeared in the snow. They led directly to the farmhouse, but they never came back out. Strange sounds were heard in the attic. A house key disappeared. And according to later reports, someone may already have been inside the home, not breaking in, living there. And more than a century later, no one has ever fully explained it. Hinterkaifeck was isolated. No nearby village. No immediate neighbors. Just a farmhouse surrounded by forest in rural Bavaria. Germany itself was still recovering from the First World War. Many rural communities remained deeply isolated, suspicious, and traditional. And for investigators, that isolation became one of the most important aspects of the case. Because it meant no immediate witnesses, no fast response, and almost no outside interference before the murders occurred. 6 people lived at Hinterkaifeck. Andreas Gruber, his wife Cecilia, their widowed daughter Victoria Gabriel, and Victoria's 2 young children, and the family's new maid, Maria Baumgartner. Maria had arrived only hours earlier. It was her very first night at Hinterkaifeck. To nearby villagers, the Grubers were not mysterious figures. They were simply a family living at the edge of isolation. But something inside the house already felt wrong. The first disturbing signs reportedly began days before the murders. A former maid had already left the farm months earlier, claiming the house was haunted. At the time, investigators dismissed the story. Later, they reconsidered, because strange events had already begun surrounding the property. Footprints appeared in fresh snow. The tracks led toward the farmhouse, but never away from it. Then came the sounds. Movement in the attic. Footsteps overhead during the night. Then silence. Investigators later documented something else. An unfamiliar newspaper that nobody in the household recognized. Around the same time, a key to the farmhouse reportedly disappeared, and some accounts describe growing distress within the household, particularly involving the children. At first, investigators treated these as isolated incidents. The events appeared unrelated. Later, investigators began viewing them differently. They were wrong, because investigators would later consider something far more disturbing. Someone may already have been hiding inside the farmhouse. This became one of the most unsettling parts of the investigation. Investigators later concluded that after the disturbances began, someone may have continued living inside the house unnoticed. Not entering briefly, staying there. Animals were still being fed. Food had been consumed. Daily routines appeared to continue. Yet, nobody ever reported clearly seeing an intruder. Which raised a difficult question. Did the family not know someone was there? Or did they already know exactly who it was? Then the murders happened. On or around March the 31st of 1922. one by one, inside the farmhouse. No alarm, no escape, no witness. At first, investigators believed the case would be solved quickly. They were wrong, because days passed before anyone realized something was terribly wrong at Hinterkaifeck. The family failed to appear at church. They were no longer seen in town, and they stopped responding to visitors. Concern slowly turned into suspicion, until finally, on the 4th of April 1922, neighbors decided to investigate the farm themselves. Among the first outside factors was Alfred Hofner, a mechanic who had visited the property shortly after the discovery to repair the equipment. After finishing his work, he noted the farm felt unusually quiet, and later reported his concerns through local contacts. And what they found inside would shock investigators for decades. Some victims were believed to have been drawn into separate areas of the property. No signs of forced entry and no confirmed escape attempts, just silence. Police photographs documented the scene shortly after discovery, but almost immediately the crime scene became compromised. Curious locals entered the farmhouse before evidence could be preserved. Investigators later recovered what was believed to be the murder weapon, hidden on the property itself. And even more disturbing, smoke was reportedly still rising from the chimney after the murders, as though life inside the farmhouse had briefly continued after everyone was already dead. As investigators searched for answers, attention increasingly turned toward those connected to the farm. Years earlier, in 1915, Andreas Gruber and his daughter Victoria Gabriel became involved in legal proceedings related to allegations of an incestuous relationship. The accusations were widely known in the village, but no definitive conclusion was ever established, and whether these events had any connections to the murders remains unknown. One of the most frequently discussed figures in the later accounts was Lorenz Schlittenbauer, a neighbor with close ties to the family, and one of the first people to enter the property after the murders were discovered. Some accounts suggested a personal relationship with Victoria Gabriel and possible ties to her son Joseph. After the discovery, Schlittenbauer's behavior drew attention from witnesses. Jacob Sigel and Michael Plockel, both present during the early discovery phase, later described his actions as unusual. Sigel in particular remained convinced for years that Schlittenbauer was responsible, but suspicion never became proof, and no formal charges were ever brought. Then there was Carl Gabriel, Victoria's husband. According to later accounts, Carl married Victoria after she was believed to be expecting a child. He moved to Hinterkaifeck, but some retellings described growing tensions inside the household. Stories later circulated that Carl had been treated poorly at the farm. Some accounts even claimed conflict between Carl and Andreas Gruber, and described concerns about how Victoria herself was treated. But much of this survives through later testimony and local retellings, rather than definitive records. And after only a short time, Carl reportedly left the farm and later joined military service during First World War. He was officially reported killed in France, yet over time rumors began to spread. that perhaps Carl Gabriel had survived, that perhaps he had returned. Several later stories fueled the speculation, but no evidence ever confirmed he survived the war. Investigators never established a connection between Carl Gabriel and the murders. Victoria's son Joseph remains another unresolved detail. His paternity was never officially confirmed, and over time, multiple names were suggested in local accounts. But investigators never reached a definitive answer. In later discussions, the name of a local baker, Joseph Bartel, also surfaced, but his connection remained speculative. No physical or forensic link ever tied him to the crime scene. In later retellings, another story emerged. Claims of a possible confession by Schlittenbauer to a priest, sometimes referred to as Pastor Haas. These accounts were never confirmed in official records, and there is no verified evidence that such a confession ever occurred. As decades passed, Hinterkaifeck became less of an investigation and more of an interpretation, because the evidence had been fragmented, the crime scene contaminated, and key details lost in the first hours after discovery. Some researchers later suggested the killer may have remained on the property after the murders, continuing routines as if nothing had changed. Some even revisited old rumors surrounding Carl Gabriel, questioning whether earlier assumptions about the family had overlooked something important. Continuing routines as if nothing had changed. Others proposed a broader possibility, that the case may be connected to similar axe murders reported in other regions. In some theories, these similarities were linked to a traveling offender, a figure sometimes identified as Paul Mueller, a suspect never confirmed, never proven, and never placed at the scene. Even modern analysis has failed to reconstruct a complete and consistent explanation of what happened inside the farmhouse. What makes this case endure isn't only the murders themselves, it's the unanswered details, the footprints that never returned, the sounds in the attic, the missing key, the routines that appeared to continue after death, and the possibility that someone was already there long before the killings began, watching, moving silently through the house, existing inside their lives, while no one fully realized someone may have already been there. And even now, more than a century later, no one can say with certainty who it was, which leaves only one final question. If no one ever truly entered that house, then who was already inside? The farmhouse is gone, but the mystery of Hinterkaifeck never disappeared. Some doors were never meant to be opened. This is the Backtrack Vault. Subscribe and step deeper into the unknown.